So let's get right to it because there's a lot to unpack. When I read the log line for this film, I knew it was going to be weird, and I was pleasantly surprised by how weird it was. So let's start with Addison.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is allegorical in a lot of ways of
Hmm.
addiction.
Hmm.
There are Christ-like overtones in there. But one thing I really keyed in on that I wanted to ask you about was the universal language of dance. Tell me about
Yes.
incorporating dance into this feature.
Listen, I wish I had like some like beautiful love like metaphor answer. Be like dance is the the metaphor of, trauma and love and all this kind of stuff. But like there's a lot of things in this movie where I was like, this is funny. And like that's kind of like the thing. People are like, oh yeah, what about like those grinder like the grinder placards? And I'm just like, oh, I kind of thought it was funny. But like, I think like while like I was writing it, I was like, this is funny, this is great. And then Lou decided to like really step up his game and learn hip hop dance like in the month before the movie. And then like our choreographer and Marlene was like, I was almost gonna drop out of this dance stuff because I don't know if I could do it. And then like on the day, it was like everybody was like laser focused, and we are like, okay, let's film this and like because we knew there's gonna be four dance scenes, and we're like, let's just film it and let's like have everybody enjoy this dance because I think that's what the people deserve. And everybody got to applaud afterwards because they murdered it. Like they murdered it so completely. And I didn't expect like, there's so many things about Brian that I'm just like, that like are like he's like an alien that like is, trying to pretend to be a person. And I think part of his character is like, oh yeah, dance and like tracksuits and all this kind of stuff. But I didn't realize, honestly, how alluring it was going to be because Lou's really good at it. So it was like really, really cool to like watch that happen and watch it unfold in a way that surprised me.
That brings us to Lou. Let's talk about your portrayal of the character Brian. And I can see, from your aesthetic now that the almost Christ-like image of him was a very conscious choice. Tell me about playing someone non-human.
I was trying to get away from like the Aryan version of Christ and
Mhm.
go more toward the maybe sinister, like, is he Jesus or the devil type idea, by dyeing my hair black. But yeah, I mean, Brian is so innocent and just wants to be popular, and he's just a little kid. So like, of course he loves, dance and TikTok and, like looking cool on videos and everything. We only had what was it, Addison? Like 3 tries, 4 tries each time because
Mhm.
Addison wanted to film this from one angle and that's it. Just like dead on, straight on. And if you didn't do it. So I was really happy that I had taken all of those hip hop classes because I really only had 4 tries. And Marlene and Jordan killed it, killed it, killed it. Yeah, I don't know. Brian, for me, was inspired a little bit by Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka because he's selling this world of imagination and magic, and I think he really believes it too in some ways. I think that he's not really lying to these people as much as like he doesn't know he's lying until they call him out.
Right. Opening the film on Olivia with that long one take um, monologue of the dream or of the false story that turns out to be a real story. Olivia, was that one take that looks like one continuous, like you had all that memorized?
Yes. It was it was really hard. I only had like 5 days to memorize it between a different project and starting this one. And that was actually the first thing we shot day one of the project at like 9 a.m. And it was um ended up being 8 minutes long and it was one take and we used the first take. I think we did like four or
I think,
five.
I think we did. I think we did 4 or 5, and originally, with Olivia too. It's like we used the third take originally in the thing, and then Olivia's like, "Can I see the first take?" And then we watched it, and both of us were like, "Oh, never mind, that's the take." Like it was just so unreal and so good.
It was terrifying. I mean, I'm dyslexic and memorizing is the hardest part of my job for me, and I have to do so many gymnastics in my head to remember my lines, no matter how much I work on it. So this was absolutely terrifying. When I met with Addison beforehand, I was like, "Can you? I'll do the movie as long as like that's not on day one." And of course, it was day one first up. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. And honestly, it ended up being a gift because it helped me get into Joey's head from day one. Like there was no figuring out the character on set. I figured her out in that monologue pretty much, if that makes sense. Like, once you're in your costume and you're on set and everything like that. And yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. I'm glad that people are liking it because it's a really scary way to start the movie. It's quite vulnerable to just do one take, 8 minutes of me talking. Like I've heard it a million times and I'm pretty over it.
Craig can very easily be unlikable, but we love him.
Oh, great.
Tell me about
We do.
embodying that character and things you did to anchor his relatability.
I was last into the film, I think. Addison, correct me if I'm wrong. I was
Yeah.
last in. I didn't have a lot of time to prepare. I read the script, and within, I think, 10 days or 2 weeks, I was coming to Los Angeles, and I was going to do this thing. And I was terrified because I love preparation. I think my default as an actor is a performance that's controlled and precise, and this was not that. It couldn't be because Craig is a mess, and I'm not a messy person. I'm a very clean person. I'm very tidy. So for me, I think it was through humor oftentimes that I always find a way to humanize a narcissist. And Craig is narcissistic. He's immature. He's a man child. He's a baby. But I think his relationship, I tend to find access points for characters I play through relationships and who they are in the eyes of other people and just my own sense of humor. And that was kind of all I had because there wasn't a lot of time to prepare. And it was helpful knowing that Addison said Craig is some of the darker, messier parts of him. And I do know Addison. So I tried to imbue a little bit, like here and there, little grains of Addison into the character as much as I could. But I think the thing that makes him particularly heartbreaking in the end is you really think that he's gone on a journey. Where he ends is not where he began. And there's a shot for him to be a better person. And then I don't know if I'm allowed to
Yeah,
spoil.
no spoilers. What are you doing, Jordan?
Question: will he take the shot?
Yeah.
We'll let the viewer decide.
Yeah.
So, Marlene, you were a little off put by the dancing, but
Oh, well, I'm older than all these people in this room right now. So, and I was like, I'll do anything. And I loved the idea of it. And then I had my first rehearsal. And I thought, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to do this. How can I tell Addison I can't do this? But I did it. I trust him wholeheartedly. This is my second round, and the first part one was more. This one was so much fun and full of joy. I don't know how everybody else felt, but I'm pretty sure we all felt the same way because it felt like that on set. Um, or to me, this is way more comedy and joyful than Hypochondriac, which was very hard. But this was full of joy, and my castmates could not have been better picked. So I trusted him wholeheartedly. I was like, okay. And I'm from the theater, so we go 150%, and if we fall, then we back it up. So so we just went, and we all went together, and I was, I'm like, I can do this. I'm not that old. Take another class.
I think I have time for maybe one more question. So I want to run it back to Lou. And I saw that Brian's cuisine was understated. Like it wasn't called out heavy.
No.
But your reaction to your interaction with the Dino Nuggets really did help elevate that childlike nature of Brian. Tell me a little more about playing in that space.
Oh God. I think I just got to play. I mean, that was all Addison. That was written into the script, like everybody else is eating these beautiful salmon and asparagus meals, and I'm somehow eating dino nuggets. Like, is that all he can eat? Is that just what he prefers? I don't know. I think Brian definitely, I got to be a little bit more of a cartoon in some ways in this thing that really made me laugh. I'm glad that we never call out the dino nuggets. It's just whoever notices.
And we never we never ate the food either. We would play with like when I
Oh,
could call cut as the nugget's about to go in his mouth, and I'd be like, and then cut.
I mean, that nugget had been sitting on that plate for hours.
Yeah.
This just dawned on me. Addison, the name Brian, is that a Monty Python reference, or were you just because again with a Christ-like
Oh yeah, no,
allegory?
I'm sorry. I wish I could lie, but yes.
That's yours now.
No,
You use that.
yeah. You could totally, take that for sure. Everything that I can get credit for, I'll take.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate all of you being here, and best of luck at Sundance, and best of luck with the feature. It's fantastic.
This is the BTRP Media Network.